Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the first ever AFDW Chaplain Corps marriage retreat. And as we get started, I would like to just welcome you. I'd like to introduce some of the folks that we have working behind the scenes that's going to make this event possible. My name is Chaplain Ben Skelton, and I'd like to introduce my partner in crime.
Hey, my name is Chaplain Wesley Sneed.
And then the other end of the room, I'd like to introduce our other chaplain that's working with us.
Welcome everyone, Chaplain Stephen Reen. I'll be monitoring the chat box and making sure everything runs smoothly.
And so as we get started, I want to lay out some ground rules. We're going to try to make this as informal as possible. We're going to go with just first names only for this event. We know that there's a wide variety of civilian and military that's participating. But we also want to make it very informal so that way people have an opportunity to participate in discussions without fear of rank or anything like that. So you can call me Ben, call Chaplain Rain, Stephen, so you can call him Wes. All that's just to kind of break down any barriers that rank could potentially bring into it. Also, we want to make sure that you guys feel comfortable. We are going to do some quick introductions and just ask you to turn your video and microphone on for that. But for the rest of the marriage retreat, if you don't want to have your video on, we totally understand that. A lot of times you have kids running around in the background, there's distractions. We're sensitive to that. We're not offended at all. But if we can have people introduce themselves really quickly so we can get to know you guys for this event.
Hi, good morning. This is Sarita and Duran Harmon.
Roll Tide.
Hi, I'm Ashley and this is Dakota.
Hi, good morning. This is Dean and this is Terry.
Hello, good morning. This is Brent and I'm Lori.
Morning.
Hi, good morning. This is Nana Johnson. My husband is Michael Johnson, but he's not here. He's actually at work, and I'm teleworking. So this is perfect for me to just listen and maybe get some new tips. We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary, so why not get more? Yes, I know. Praise God. Nice to meet everybody.
I think we have a few more people that are still connecting. I think I see Godwin. Are you there? Do we have anybody else that wants to introduce themselves? Okay, well, if some people are probably still logging on, we want to start off this event with a message from Colonel Hanovich. He's very supportive of what we're doing here, and we'd just like to hear a few words from what he has to say.
Hello. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Colonel Robbie Hanovich, and I'm the Deputy Commander at Air Force District of Washington. First off, thank you to the Chaplain Corps for putting together this tremendous event. And also thank you to each and every one of you who have chosen to spend time today to strengthen your marriages. I will share with you that my wife Ann and I have had the privilege of attending seminars like this one in the past, and our marriage has grown, become stronger, and thrived because of them. Today's marriage seminar is unlike those that you may have attended in the past. That may have been overly serious or technical or emotionally taxing. This one is called Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage. It's different because it helps you, couples, deal with tough issues in a non-threatening way. In session 1, you will learn that many of the problems that couples experience result from how men and women think about life differently. This will then segue into session 2, where we learn that the way we think impacts the way that we communicate and interact with each other and our spouses and our loved ones. Many of the struggles that we face in our marriage are not necessarily heart issues, but they are head issues. Finally, in session 3, we will learn how the sexual messages that our culture sends out are fundamentally flawed. And we'll learn 5 steps that couples can take to achieve a healthy and fantastic sex life in your marriage. So thank you again for attending today's marriage seminar. I hope that it enriches your marriages and that they are stronger because you've taken the time to be here today. Thank you.
So we're so excited you're with us and looking forward to this time together. We'll get ready to start the first session in just a moment, and then after the session, we'll take a few moments to discuss some of the content, and we'll get some feedback, and we'll ask some questions, have some great conversation for us all to learn, and then we'll move on. So enjoy.
Alrighty then. Hello and welcome to Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage. I'm so glad you're here. This is the marriage seminar for people who hate marriage seminars. Hoo-ah! All right? I get a kick out of watching the couples when they first come in on Friday nights. You know, the girls, they're all lit up, you know, just, ooh, I got him here, I got him here, I got him here, you know. and the guy's going, oh man, I can't believe, you know, I got here. But it's cool, guys, you can relax, you're gonna love it. This is not one of those let's beat up on the men for not being women seminars. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. And what is it with that anyway? Man, you know, you ask a lot of women to describe their ideal man, and they'll describe another woman. What's up with that? You know? So we're not going to do that. We are going to just go with this thing in a normal, healthy way. We're men. Men are men. We're not sick. We're not perverted. We're not twisted. You know, we're not broken. We're men. All right? And God, yeah, hoo-ah. And God made us the way we are for a reason. And I'm going to show you girls what that reason is. Okay? And I'm going to try and explain to you the world of men a little bit through this thing. We'll also discuss the women's side of things as well. But I really want you to understand this men thing. Women are much more complicated than men. Men are very simple. Simple. S-E-X. Simple. All right? So... That's what I'm talking about, okay? So we're going to have fun. We should have a really, really great time. Now, tonight we're going to do a session called The Tale of Two Brains, hence the two brains. And we're going to be discussing how men and women think very differently from each other. Why is that important? Because men and women are very quick to make into heart problems what are essentially head problems. A woman acts a certain way, a guy feels she doesn't care about him, he says, well, there's something wrong with your heart, you don't care about me. No, 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 it's the way she processes information. The same with a guy. A man thinks in a certain way, and a woman thinks there's something wrong with his heart. No, it's his head, okay? So I'm gonna try and explain to you what that's all about. Then tomorrow morning, we're going to do a session called, Why Does He Do That? Why does she do that? Okay? See, it's one thing to understand men and women in general. It's another one to understand the one you got stuck with. Okay? So I'm going to show you how you can discover specifically what makes your spouse tick. And it's powerful information that will absolutely revolutionize your relationship. All right? Then we're going to do what I call the Yo Mama session. And it's called the #1 key to incredible sex. And boys, if you miss that, there's just something wrong with you, okay? So you gotta check it. And then we're gonna end with how to stay married and not kill anybody, okay? All very deep emotional stuff. Now, now a lot of people say, well, what's your background? What's your deal? Well, my background is that I'm a minister. Now, if you're not much of a churchgoer, don't let that make you nervous. Some of my biggest fans are heathens, all right? And this isn't one of those things where we sneak you in and then beat you over the head with a Bible, all right? But I do have a Bible verse I need to show you, okay? Because I found a Bible verse that if you follow the advice from this one Bible verse, you will never, ever, ever have a problem in marriage. How many think that's worth seeing? All right, you follow the advice from this one verse, you'll never have a problem in marriage. It says it's good for a man not to marry. All right? So, well, why would he say that? That's such a terrible thing to say. Because he goes on to explain, he who marries will have trouble in this life. You know, people come up to me, Pastor Mark, something's wrong. I say, what is it? We got trouble in our marriage. I go, no, that's about right. Hey, there ain't nothing wrong. That's pretty normal. Now, you don't hear these verses read at weddings very often. Kind of downplay that. You don't see those on Hallmark cards. You don't see them on cakes with pretty calligraphy. He who marries will have trouble. But it's too late for you. You say, if that's the case, then why get married? Because marriage is absolutely wonderful. It's great. It's fantastic. But it's not that it's without trouble. All right? And I want to show one other verse to you. Now, you don't have the deep theological training that I have, so you might have a hard time understanding this verse. But I'll try and explain it to you. This is found in Proverbs. And it goes like this. Where no oxen are, the manger is clean. Let me explain that to you, okay? What does that mean? What it means, if you're going to have an ox, you're going to have ox poo, all right? Now, if you don't like poo, and most of us are not real big fans of poo, if you don't like poo, the temptation is get rid of the ox. Preach it, brother. No. I don't want you to get rid of the ox, all right? You know? So, well, why would you keep the ox around? Because he goes to the second half of the verse, it says, because much increase comes by the strength of the ox. Well, now there's the catch-22. On the one hand, we all love the benefit of the ox, but nobody likes the poo. And what he's trying to tell us here is you cannot have one without the other. There is no such thing as a poo-free marriage. It just doesn't exist. Unless you shoot the ox, okay? But that leads to other problems. So this weekend is not about attaining a state of perfection in your life, all right? It's about getting a proper positive to poo ratio in your life. You see, because if all you get is poo, then you got one sick ox. Are you hearing me? All right? So, but there's no such thing as a poo-free marriage. For those of you having a hard time grasping this, I have a mathematical version of it. It goes, ox equals poo over positive. Some say positive over poo. But anyway, it's the ratio that we want to get going here, okay? Now, marriage is a wonderful institution. Statistically speaking, we know that married people are healthier than single people. They are actually happier than single people, assuming you're doing this right. Or you can be profoundly unhappy. They actually make more money than single people, and I'll mention a little bit later why that's true. Okay? They have better sex than single people. Now, you don't see that in our culture, you know, in all the movies and shows, you know, it's the single people all having really great sex, you know, and the married people are, You know, someone will say, well, how's your sex life? Are you kidding? I'm married, ha. You know? And it's not true, it's a bunch of baloney. Okay? Married people have great sex compared to single people. Single people don't even know what they're doing, for crying out loud. Okay? And statistically speaking, married people live longer than single people. This is particularly true for men. Statistically speaking, one of the most dangerous things a man can do in America today is remain single. It is the equivalent of smoking 2.5 packs of cigarettes a day. It's true. They found that if you take someone who has 2.5 packs of cigarettes a day and the health problems and the shortness of life and all the difficulties, and a single guy is pretty much the same. I guess the worst would be a single guy who smokes 2.5 packs of cigarettes a day. All right? But marriage is wonderful. It's great. It rocks. I love it. Okay? If you do it right. Now, the problem here is so many people don't do it right. And it's not that they don't know, not that they don't want to do it, they don't know what to do. We live in a culture today that seems for somehow in the relationship area to be completely clueless. We seriously don't know what to do. Now this weekend what I want to do is show you specific things you can do that will absolutely energize and transform your marriage life. How many think that's worth hearing? Yeah, okay? So, now I want to talk to you about what I call the laws of relational physics. You see, the laws of physics affect everybody, whether you believe them or not. Okay? If I step off this stage, I'm probably, in all likelihood, going to go down. If I start floating around, you might want to freak out and run. But why? Because the laws of physics affect, well, I don't believe that. It doesn't matter what I believe. I'm going down, right? Doesn't matter if I'm a born-again Christian. Doesn't matter if I'm a heathen. Man, I'm going, because it affects everybody. Well, just like that, there are laws of relational physics, and they affect everybody, whether you believe them or not. Now, this might come as a little bit of a shock to those of you who are church people, especially hearing from a minister. But the truth is, you don't have to be a Christian to have a great marriage. I know a lot of heathens that have wonderful marriages. I know a lot of born-again Christians who have horrible marriages. Why is that? They're breaking all the rules. And they assume that somehow that the rules don't apply to them, but they do. Here's an example. If you're driving a car 80 miles an hour around a curve that says only 40, and you keep going 80, chances are you're going to get hurt, even if you're listening to a Christian radio station. Even if you have a statue of Jesus on the, you know, he might be going, ah, you know, but why is that? Because the laws of physics still affect you, but for some miracle, you're going to get hurt. Same true with relational physics. And I want to explain that to you, and we'll take a look at that. Now, this weekend, I'm going to be speaking to you in basic stereotypes. In other words, women generally tend to be a certain way. Men generally tend to be a certain way. But they're not all that way. I get it. Okay? Some of the people that just have a cow, well, I don't know, that's true for all men. I'm admitting it's not, all right? Just generally speaking, we don't have time to get into all the shades of gray. But generally speaking, men are a certain way, women are a certain way. If I start describing something that's not you, don't have a cow, just interpolate for your relationships. In Debbie's and I relationship, there are areas where we're completely opposite of a typical man and a woman. I remember when I was first studying this stuff, I thought, oh man, I'm a woman. So just interpolate. I will say this, that if you tend to be one way in a certain relationship, your wife generally will be the other way. I don't think I've run across a couple yet. I'm sure they're out there that act the exact same way. You know, so if you break the rules, chances are your spouse is breaking them right with you, and you just flip on this deal. Okay? For example, a typical stereotype: men are more interested in sex than their wives. Why would you say that? Because generally it's true. But it's not always true. There are a lot of relationships where the wife is much more interested in sex than her husband. If you're here tonight and your wife is much more interested in sex than you are, I think I speak for all the men here when I say that we hate you. Please don't tell us who you are. We will hurt you, all right? So just go with the flow. It'll be cool. We'll have a great time discussing this thing about marriage. Now, I believe marriage is a life-giving institution. We live in a culture today that believes marriage is a life-sucking institution. It will suck the life out of you. All right? And that's why we say, make sure you're old enough. Make sure you have enough money. Make sure you have enough education. Make sure you've been dating for 37 years first. Make sure that, you know, get all the stuff. Why? You got to get everything together and ready so that when you say I do, you can withstand the, But it's not that way. It'll give you life if you'll do it right. If you do this right, marriage can be the closest thing to heaven on earth. If you do it wrong, well, you fill in the blanks. Okay? So now, we're going to start discussing men's brains, women's brains, and how they're very different from each other. Now, I want to start with men's brains. All right? Now, men's brains are very unique. Men's brains are made up of little boxes. And we have a box for everything. We've got a box for the car. We've got a box for the money. We've got a box for the job. We've got a box for you. We've got a box for the kids. We've got a box for your mother somewhere in the basement. We got boxes everywhere. And the rule is the boxes don't touch. When a man discusses a particular subject, we go to that particular box, we pull that box out, we open the box, we discuss only what is in that box. All right? And then we close the box and put it away, being very, very careful not to touch any other boxes. Sorry, my Catholic upbringing got in there for a minute, but I'm not a Catholic, but I went to Catholic school when I was little. I had a nun who taught on hell like she was born and raised there. I mean, I'll never forget it, but it did me good, actually. It was a good thing. Now, women's brains are very, very different from men's brains. Women's brains are made up of a big ball of wire. And everything is connected to everything. The money's connected to the car, and the car's connected to your job, and your kids are connected to your mother, and everything's connected to everything. It's just like... It's like the internet superhighway, okay? And it's all driven by energy that we call emotion. It's just... It's one of the reasons why women tend to remember everything. Because if you take an event and you connect it to an emotion, it burns in your memory and you can remember it forever. The same thing happens for men. It just doesn't happen very often because, quite frankly, we don't care. Women tend to care about everything. And she just loves it. Okay? Now, men, we have a box in our brain that most women are not aware of. This particular box has nothing in it. It's true. It's true. In fact, we call it the nothing box. And of all the boxes a man has in his brain, the nothing box is our favorite box. If a man has a chance, he'll go to his nothing box every time. That's why a man can do something seemingly completely brain dead for hours on end. You know, like fishing. And we love it. That's why a guy can sit in front of a TV and go. It glows. Of course, this drives our wives nuts because they'll come up and say, "Stop that! You can't possibly be watching anything!" I'm not. Go away. Now, they've actually measured this. The University of Pennsylvania a couple of years ago did a study and discovered that men have the ability to think about absolutely nothing and still breathe. You know, they connected all the wires and stuff like that and watched the brain activity, then all of a sudden, I think he's dead. Huh? You know, women can't do it. They can't do it. Their minds never stop. And they don't understand the nothing box. And it drives them crazy. Because nothing drives a woman more crazy or makes her feel more irritated than to witness a man doing nothing. Now, one of the biggest revelations I get out of women is this whole nothing box issue. They just, everything's starting to make sense. And I've had women say, oh, it's nothing. Well, can I go in his nothing box with him? No! Why not? Because then it's something. Besides, you'll walk in there and go, You know, this place could really use some pictures. Nice little table over here, some flowers. Is it? No! Nothing! Get out! We don't want nothing. Now, this handles the way men and women handle stress. Okay? When a man is stressed out, all he wants to do is run to his nothing box. This is how we unwind. The last thing we want to do when we're stressed out is talk about it. We don't want to talk about it. We just want to. Of course, it just drives her nuts, you know. A woman will see a man in that vegetative state and she'll come up and go, "What you thinking about?" Nothing. We gotta be thinking about something. No, I was thinking about nothing. In fact, I was on a roll till you showed up. Go away, all right? Because that's how he handles stress. He just. Now, when a woman is stressed out, she has to talk about it. If she doesn't talk about it, her brain will literally explode. So she'll start just, I don't know, might have something to do with this. Not going to have to do that. I never thought about this. My brother over here said to me, and I know men who run from their wives when they do this. They do. I say, well, why do you run from her? He says, because I don't know what to tell her. I said, dear God, man, who told you to tell her anything? She wants you to tell her anything. See, a lot of guys, they feel obligated when you start explaining all your stress, they feel obligated to fix you, right? Because that's what a man does. A man only tells his troubles to another man in hopes that that man will help fix it, okay? But she's not a man. And you try and fix her, she's gonna kill you. All right? She doesn't want your advice. She doesn't want your help. She wants you to shut up and listen. And a couple of ladies, that's right, you tell him. Tell him to shut up. They like that. Now, I had one guy tell me, he said, man, if she just tell me how she feels. I said, she doesn't know yet. This is what he means. That's how she figures out how she feels, by connecting this wire to that wire, this wire, and so. Now, because they love each other, they offer to each other their answer, their solution. A man senses his wife is stressed out. He loves the girl. He offers to the girl his best and finest solution. Or just quit talking about it. Just quit thinking about it. Yeah. And that's when she starts reaching for the knives and stuff. But she's gonna stab you if you keep it up, okay? Now, a woman, she senses her husband's all stressed out. She loves him. Therefore, she offers to him her best and finest solution. Talk to me. Why won't you talk to me? Go away. He doesn't want to talk to you. Leave him alone. He will not die. He's not a woman. All right? I know you've got to talk it through or you're going to be twisted inside. He's not like that. Leave the boy alone. You tell he's stressed out, just let him go to his nothing box. Just stay away. Stay away. Okay? And it's hard for us to understand that because we think so differently from each other. Now, not only does this affect the way that we respond in stress and stuff, the way our brains are wired also affects the way that we use words. Okay? Men tend to use less words than women. That's because the women have all the wires they're trying to connect, and they've got to explain each and every connection. Now, they say that if a man needs to speak 10,000 words in a day, a woman needs to speak 20,000. My wife says, that's because we got to repeat everything we say. To which I responded, huh? Where is my darling redhead? Is she around? Come up. I want you to meet my wife, Debbie. Come on up here and just... People say, well, doesn't she talk too? Nope. Not to you anyway. She talks to me, but she won't talk to you because she doesn't want to talk to you. That's all. Where's my tablet? I want to show you something about the whole words thing. You know, they actually measured this. They went in and studied children and babies and found out, they actually went and took cameras and put them in nurseries and analyzed the pictures later. And they noticed the pictures of the little girls. Right from the get-go, their mouths are just going. It's true. It's true. And then they analyzed the pictures of little boys, and they're just... They're still thinking, what was that? I want to go back. I don't get it. Okay? Then they went and they recorded conversations of little boys and girls on playgrounds. And they went back and analyzed them. And they discovered that little girls loved to talk. They were very articulate, loved to use full sentences, just loved to talk. And if they didn't have anybody to talk to, they were perfectly content to talk to nobody. And they were just complete sentences. Then they analyzed the conversations of the little boys, and only about 55% of it was intelligible. Because what they were saying, you know, that's conversation to a man. Okay, now. Not only do we use different amounts of words, words can mean different things to men and women. For example, now to most men, 5 minutes means 5 minutes. To a lot of women, it can be an indefinite period of time. Are you ready yet? 5 more minutes! As we discussed, men understand nothing. Women don't understand the significance of nothing. If a woman says nothing, look out, it's something. Oh, dude, man, I don't know what happened. What happened? I don't know. I asked my wife what she was upset about. What'd she say? Well, she said nothing. Get out of the house, man! Run now! Get out! Now, this is not a word, it's a vocalization. It's a sigh. Now, when a man sighs, it means everything is good with life. When a woman sighs, it means you are an idiot. Now, when a man says, go ahead, he's being polite. When a woman says, go ahead, she's giving you the opportunity to explain whatever stupid thing it was you just did. But you need to be very careful in the explanation because it's very likely to be followed by a sigh. Which will lead to an argument over nothing. And then you ain't gonna have sex again for at least 5 minutes. Men's brains, women's brains, just the way they work, you know. Women's brains, they got women's brains come with lots of extra RAM. So they can remember the details of everything. Men's brains come with only the minimum basic requirements to keep us breathing and eating. Okay, that's good. That's why a lot of men, we don't hang on to lots of details. They don't stick with us. You know, when an event happens, we just categorize it as an event. All right. Whereas women, it's not just the event, it's all the details connected with an event. You'll run into this when a friend of your family or something will call and you know, she just had a baby. And then you tell your wife, oh, so-and-so's called, they had the baby. And she'll say, well, what was it? And he says, well, it was a baby. So, well, what kind of baby? I don't know, it's a baby. What difference does it make? Oh, how long was it? Well, I don't know. You know, how long, how tall, how many, you know, how much did it weigh? I don't know, under 20 pounds. What, you know, just... But there's detail. You know, a woman will come up to a guy and say, how was your day? And then we go to the RAM, and all it's there is that it was a day. And we say, it was fine. And she'll say, well, what happened? And we go to the RAM, and there's nothing there. And we panic. And we go, nothing. But women, they've got all this, you know, that's why when a guy retells a story, it's usually pretty much just a bottom line kind of thing. What happened? This happened, that happened, we're done. When a lot of women share what happened, they relive the event in excruciatingly painful detail. I mean, you are there. Yeah. And it can drive, couples can really fight over this. My wife and I still fight over this one. This just drives us crazy. She just, sweetheart, when your husband asks the question, what did the plumber say? He really doesn't want to know what he said. Well, I said, how you doing? He said, it's fine. I said, it was a pretty nice day we're having. He said, yeah. He said, got any kids? No, what did he say? Bottom line, details. Men's brains, women's brains. It also affects not only the words we use and stuff, but also it affects how we listen. You go, yeah. Women listen. But we listen too, we're just different. A lot of women say, men's problems, they got selective listening. You know what that is, right? That's when the wife will say something like, honey, go to the store, lay down the mulch, wash and wax the car, get the kids at school, rent some videos, and finish the rest of the dishes. And then he runs that through his selective filter. And all he hears is, honey, go lay down and get some rest. Okay?
Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed the first session, and we're going to do some discussion. One of the big things that he focuses on is the relational physics, the importance of having connections with each other. Is there some examples in your own life, your relationship, that you could give about relational physics and how that's impacted your relationship, even positive or negatively, and how you think you can grow from that? Anyone like to share?
Hi, this is Jean and Terry. I think one thing that we've done fairly well over the course of our marriage is when one of us is stressed, we do tell the other. It doesn't matter if it's Terry or if it's me. We both share our days at the end of the day, and we just verbal vomit all of our stress so that he can go to his nothing box, which I love, by the way, and I can go and make the connections needed to store up the details of the day to save for later. But I think that's one thing we've managed to do really well. So it's interesting to hear that gentleman explain that if one of us has a stressful day and doesn't share, that ultimately will impact the other person, whether they believe it does or not.
Good. Anyone else? So how do you all feel about the men's brains versus the women's brains? Is that pretty accurate? Do you have some examples you'd like to share in relation to that?
Hi, this is Darla, and I'm with my husband Randy. And as far as the way that the women's brain, the connections, that definitely I identified with that. It seems that I have to talk things through to finally get to the feeling or the solution or whatever. And I just really need Randy just to listen. Just so he kind of knows where I am and what my day's like and what I'm thinking about, and don't necessarily need him to fix it.
Very good, very good. Yeah, men and women's brains are different, and so having a better understanding of that will help us in our communication, help us to understand what are the needs of each other so we can make those stronger connections. And I really think it's unique about the box mindset of the man versus the wire mindset of the ladies, and how everything's all connected, and how many times the man can kind of zone out, or as he calls it, that nothing box. And then he goes on even further talking about the RAM versus the basic operating system, basically, the woman has all these details, very connected, very detailed, and the man, for the most part, there probably be some exceptions in that, but for the man, for the most part, is just the basic details and such. So any thoughts on that as well? Anything else that you might have picked up from the session?
This is Ashley with my husband Dakota, and I would say we're still, I guess, pretty young into our marriage and everything. But something that we've definitely struggled with is just kind of understanding how absolutely differently we're wired. And it's tricky coming from, I guess, completely different mentalities and trying to connect and understand each other. So I just found it really helpful to have it laid out like that, to really get to kind of see the comparisons and what those differences are.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing that. The way our brains are made up, men's versus women's, and then our life experiences, maybe our upbringings. There's a lot of factors that can contribute as well. But then you put in the men's brain versus the women's brains in the relationship, and you bring these two people together, and hey, now you're going to be living together and spending a lot of time together. And you made the comment, there will be differences, there will be disagreements. And so how do you work through that, and how do you have a very healthy relationship in that? And so what do you think you can take from this to help your relationship improve in that communication between men and women? How can you respect each other, but at the same time also understand each other to help each other out during those difficult times?
Yeah, I think a big part of that, I guess, would be empathy, just kind of being able to put ourselves in each other's shoes and, think about, all right, this is what it looks like from my perspective, but now having better insight into his perspective, I could see more so where he's coming from. And even though he thinks very differently from me, it doesn't mean it's beyond reconciling.
Very good, very good. Anyone else?
Hi, this is Sarita and Duran and Sarita. For us, we've have a lot of different seminars that we've gone through. I like the fact that this is laugh through type of seminar, if you will. And for my husband, who's an out of work comedian, literally and figuratively speaking as well, I like a lot of the jokes. So for us, we will probably joke back at each other for the similarities or difference. And we trade, I guess, personalities a lot sometimes too. I'll go through a nothing box and I'll have to say, huh? What'd you say? But like you said, culturally and militarily wise, because my husband's retired, I'm still in, but it's been 30 years. So I think it's just understood. I'm like, look, I'm a leader at work all day. Can I just do nothing when I get home? And he's the at-home dad to my plants, I guess, for the most part, because our kids are grown and we have grandkids that kind of come and go. So for us, we kind of share that. So I think one of the takeaways for us is just being able to laugh through. We learn how to kind of talk it through, if you will, but just laughing through it. So thanks.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
Hey, this is Randy. I think one of the things that helps me is kind of an example or a use case, like we use at work. You hear the box theory and the men and women's brains, and it doesn't really connect unless you have a real life example. So for us, when we were first married, Darla would ask me, hey, would you go and do the dishes? So I would go in the kitchen and wash all the dirty dishes and put them away. That's it, I'm done. And she would be like, wait a minute, you didn't do the dishes. I said, yeah, they're all clean. She said, no, you got to wipe the counters and clean the stove and put the thing away. I said, well, that's not what you said. You said, do the dishes. I did the dish. The rest of the kitchen could be a bomb shelter, right? A horrible mess. And I'm happy with myself because I did the dishes, right? That's all that was in the box. So I try to keep that in mind as we do things to kind of give a little more maybe visualization to the difference in how the brains work.
That is an excellent example, and that happens at my house as well. So thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? One of the things that one of the takeaways I've seen in this as well is, you know, for the man versus the woman's mindset, the man wants to try to fix everything and try to solve it. I think that's part of our DNA, and I've talked to other couples about this as well in the past. But many times, a woman just wants us to listen and just be present. And one of the key words is active listening, not just nodding our heads because we're in that nothing box, but that active listening, that we're nodding, we're communicating, we're listening. And so it's important to realize, and some has already mentioned, that yes, we have these differences and we're all created uniquely, but how do we utilize those differences to improve our relationships and to support each other in our relationships? Any other final thoughts on this first section?
Yeah, this is Nana. Hi, everybody again. I loved the comparisons. A lot of them were very true. And I don't know, I find that if I'm not specific with my husband, like Randy, you were saying, do the dishes, I have to say, put the dishes in the dishwasher, turn the dishwasher on. Like I have to be extremely specific. Even with laundry, I'm like, did you do laundry? It's like, I separated the clothes. But I'm like, yeah, but then you didn't actually like put the clothes in the washing machine and then put them in the dryer. So I have over the years now, if I want him to do something, I have to be extremely specific. And it's almost funny to me because I'm like, this is duh. If you're doing the laundry, you're gonna separate the clothes and then do the laundry. You're not gonna just separate the clothes. But for him, he's like, but you didn't say that. You just said, well, one time I just said, babe, just separate the clothes. But in my mind, I was thinking separate the clothes to do the laundry because he used to just put all the clothes in the wash machine. Lights, dark, didn't matter. He's like, I mean, someone to wash the clothes, I just wash all the clothes. So I noticed that the more specific I am, the more effective we are in communicating, and that's with anything. So I really appreciate it. I really appreciated the nothingness and the remote thing. Oh my goodness, that was so accurate. Like it drives me nuts. I'm like, how can you just sit here with the remote for hours? Like it's so much to do. He's like, I just want to just like decompress, please. So I loved it. It was spot on. Thanks.
Thank you all. These real life examples really bring it home and really make it more concrete. And you're right. We can be so different. We need that specific, clarity. It's almost like written out instructions. And I can tell you, the homeschooling perspective. I can share that from you for this past year. We had to give our son a list of things, get these things done, and he still didn't get it all done. And our daughter finished school like a week and a half early because like, all right, you need to do this, 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 and this, and she got it done. And so it's even, I see that in kids as well. And if you have kids, if you have, boy and girl, I'm sure you've probably got some examples as well from kids from, hey, clean your room. What a boy thinks mean clean your room, and what a girl's ideal of cleaning a room is. So you can see that early on, and he even gave the example of infants in the hospital when they're first born. So this is something that I think if we can learn it early on, not just helps our marriages, but it helps our family relationships and can help really strengthen those bonds and help prepare our kids for stronger and healthier relationships in the future as well. Any final thoughts? What is one practical thing that you can take from this session and to apply it to your marriage this week? You can share that right now if you like, but if not, I would encourage you right now to maybe write down at least one thing that you can take from this first session, and what is a practical way we can apply this session in our lives just this week and see the difference. You may want to share.
Hi, this is Ashley again. I would say for me, the big one is taking the word nothing to just literally mean nothing instead of wondering, oh, what's really going on there? What's under the level? Just, it's nothing.
That's good. It's good. Anyone else?
Well, this is Darla again. I think just remembering to allow Randy to have his nothing box, because life is so full with work and he's in school and we've got kids, and life just gets so busy, and sometimes when he's doing nothing, I'm like, oh, now we can do something. And so this week I just want to remember to allow him to have some time to have nothing time.
Great. Anyone else?
So Brent and Lori, so on the flip side of that, it's, I was saying for myself, is coming home from work, a long day of work, and wanting to go into that nothing box. But I would say, I guess be prepared to communicate and have some of those details listed off and ready to have that discussion. And then obviously listen to what she has to say as well, and talk about, be ready to hear about what her day was and her experiences. So yeah.
And what the kids experience, because they want to share everything they have done through the day as well. For me, what I'm taking away, it's of what we have been already heard. It's the nothing box. That was an eye-opening. I think you have it in your back of your head, but you never realize it until it's brought up, and you're like, oh yeah, I wish I had a nothing box. And then just hearing that, that he needed his nothing box, and like someone mentioned already, that nothing means nothing. What are you thinking about? What's worrying you? Are you worried about something? No, just thinking about nothing, So that rang true to me anyways, hearing that nothing, means nothing to them. For us, nothing, run away, you're in trouble, Thank you.
That's great. Well, thank you all, and definitely hope you all continue this conversation even after today. Even review back next week and see how the progress is going, how it's improving your relationships. So let's take a quick break. We'll be back at about 10:10 for our second session. Thank you all for a great first session, and we look forward to being back with you all in about 10 minutes. Hey, welcome back, everyone. And we're glad you're with us, and we're ready to start session 2.
But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm really talking about is the difference between single tasking and multitasking. By and large, again, interpolate for your relationships. Again, not everybody's the same way, but by and large, men are single taskers. We do one thing, and we do it pretty well. Women can handle lots of things. Guys aren't wired that way. That's why it's not a good idea to put a man in charge of more than one kid at a time. You know, we can handle the one. Well, sweetheart, you're doing such a good job with Johnny. Wow. Well, where are the rest of the kids? We got other kids? But man, we just very I'm a classic single tasker. I'm so bad, I'll be going along and I'll forget the one thing I was doing. I'm completely lost. I need to reboot my brain. Say, whoa, where am I? You know. But men, generally speaking, we do it. Now, what we do very well. One of the reasons that men are so good at what they do is because of this ability to completely focus on just one task. Men usually will rise to the top of any profession, even those dominated sometimes by women. The best hair designers in the world, a lot of times, are men. Best cooks in the world, men. Why is that? Because we have this unique ability to focus on just one thing and do it extremely well. Okay? Women are wired differently. You know, they're just and you know, my wife can be, you know, in the living room, watching TV, reading a book, making knickknacks, and talking on the phone all at the same time. It's just amazing to me. Of course, I'll come in and I'll assume she's not watching TV. That you're making knickknacks and such. Put it back, you know. We're just. Now this affects the way that we listen, because when a man is doing something, he generally cannot hear anything. It's just true. Women are not like that. Women can be doing lots of things and holding 3 different conversations. Just, you know, she'll walk into a room and she'll see her husband reading the newspaper. And she assumes, I multitask. Therefore, he must multitask. But he's running the newspaper reading program, man. He can only run one program at a time. He's not hearing jack. And this makes women very angry. But you just need to come over and you got to close the newspaper reading program. You got to load the Listen to Me program. But you got to wait a minute. He needs to reboot. I didn't know you was here. You know? You laugh, but I'm serious, girls. If you see a man doing something, unless he's wired differently, do not be giving him vital information. Because this is a train wreck waiting to happen. You'll have this conversation again. When you swear he told you, and he swears you never told him. You know you told him, but in his brain, you never said jack to him. The problem here is, guys, we get ourselves in trouble because men have this natural defense mechanism that at all costs, do not stop doing what you're doing. So when someone starts talking to you, we automatically have this defense mechanism that goes, uh-huh. Yep. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And we keep doing what we're doing, and we're not, and she thinks you're listening to her. But you're not listening. You need to stop what you're big boys, stop what you're doing, turn to the girl and pay attention to her. So it's not all on the ladies. You're big boys. When she starts talking, stop! Listen to the girl, and then let him go back to what he was doing. Sounds fair, right? Well, I started doing this, and I thought, this is great. I'm doing a lot better. I'm watching the single tasking thing. Yeah, okay, what? And I'll say, I didn't hear that. And I'll make her back up, and she'll tell me the info, and I got it. Okay. And I thought I was doing a lot better, but still I was getting myself in trouble. She'd walk up and say, it's 6 o'clock, are you ready? For what? That happened to half you guys tonight, right? We're doing what? I told you. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. And off to the races we would go. And I thought, man, what in the world? Because I'm watching this single tasking. I don't remember her saying anything about it. And I thought I was losing my hearing. So I went to a doctor. True story. I went to the doctor. And I walked in. He said, well, how you doing? I said, I'm okay. He said, what seems to be the problem? I said, well, I think I'm losing my hearing. And he says, well, you're getting up there in age, Ears are one of the first things to go. And I said, well, that's one of the first. I can handle that. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. But, so I said, well, go over to Nurse Cratchit. She'll test your ears, So I follow the lady, and I walk into this room, and they got this cheap box on a table with some real chintzy headphones. And she says, all right, now, put on the headphones. When you hear the beep, raise your hand. If you don't hear the beep, don't raise your hand. Apparently, I look really stupid. So anyway, I turned around and we began. I said, pretty soon she goes, really, you can hear all that? And I turned around and said, yeah, why? She's hitting the box. I don't know, piece of junk. What's the matter with this thing? So what's the problem? She said, according to this, you can hear what cats and dogs can hear. I don't know what the... She's hitting the box. She says, I'm going to send you to a specialist. You ever been to the specialist? They got this Yo Mama soundproof room, the thick door, You got the person, sitting behind the glass, you feel like you're in a people aquarium. Sir, would you sit down? But anyway, so at the time we lived in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and right downtown Green Bay, there was a place called Eye and Ear Associates. I'd never heard of them before. I had no reason to hear from them. But she said, I'm going to send you these people. They have all this fancy equipment. And so she takes the doctor's pad and she writes Eye, Ear, and she abbreviates Associates and hands it to me. I said, what kind of doctor is this? It's a true story. She says, what do you mean? I said, I heard of eye, ear, and throat. I never heard of this. She said, let me see that. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. She wrote out Associates. I went, oh, okay. Thought I was going to be in for a very uncomfortable test there for a minute. So I go to the eye, ear, and doctor, and I get in there and I sit down, and she's behind the glass, and she has to push the button to talk. Okay, now put on the headphones. When you hear the beep, spin around, and we began. I kid you not, she goes, really, you can hear all that? I felt like a moron, all right? I take the printout to the specialist. He goes, what are you doing here? You got better ears than me. I said, I don't know, man. She says, you know, are you ready at 6 o'clock? I just already saw her go get it. So I go home and I walk in the door and she says, well, what'd the doctor say? She doesn't sound like that, by the way. I say that because people used to come up to me saying, you know, she doesn't have a voice like that. I just do it for effect. By the way, we've been married for 32 years. We have 2 grandsons. Very cool. Beautiful boys. One's 10 months old, the other one's 8, and they are just such a delight. I love grandchildren because now it's payback. Give me. You want some more sugar? There you go. Okay. Bye. You know. My son Philip's here with us. He's running the audio, and on our 30th wedding anniversary, Phil gives me a call up and he says, hey, Dad, 30 years. That's really something. I said, well, thank you, sir. I said, but you know, truthfully, Phil, I said, it only feels like 10 minutes. He goes, really? I said, yeah, 10 minutes underwater. Oh, lighten up. All the girls, oh, I can't believe he said that. What is she gonna think? It's just the joke box, all right? Just the joke. So I come back from my ear thing, so, well, what'd they say? I said, well, they said I can hear what cats and dogs can hear. She says, well, it's not your problem. Your problem is just don't pay attention. And I thought, but I've been paying attention. I was watching the single tasking thing, and so I thought, I'm gonna do a test. I wanna see how far she gets away before I can't hear her. So the next day we're sitting in the kitchen, and she comes up and she's talking to me, la 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 la, and I go, uh-huh, and then she walks a little bit further away. She says, la 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 la. I go, okay, I can hear that. And she goes a little further away, la 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 la, just doing multitasking thing. Then she goes into the living room, la 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 la, and now she goes into another room. She's now on the other side of the house, still talking to me. I said, hey! She yells back, what? I said, I'm on the other side of the house. She goes, you don't listen anyway. The next day, I caught her. This time she goes upstairs. She's on another floor, still giving me vital information. That's when it started dawning on me. Wait a minute. We might single task, but these women so multitask, they just keep doing what they're doing, and whether or not you're in the same area code is irrelevant. Irrelevant. That's the word. I had a guy the other day says, you know, my wife's like that. She'll be talking to me. She's by the dryer, and she'll be telling me something important. La 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 la. Then she'll stick her head in the dryer, reach for something. La 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 la. And boy, you better do that, or you're gonna be in big trouble. She still does that to me. We'll be like a real busy highway, just all kinds of noise, and she'll be talking. You know something that's really important? So you better be careful about it. What? I didn't hear what you said. Laws of physics, girls, it applies to you. It would help if your husband was in the same area code. Okay. Now, I first shared the story at a men's conference that I was speaking at, and I thought it was just a funny story that had happened to me. But as I'm sharing it, all these men's heads are going. I had one guy come up to me afterwards. He says, you know, Pastor, I'll be in the bathroom. The door is closed. The fan is on. There's tile everywhere, so sound just bounces around in there. I'm standing there. All I can hear is the sound of rushing water. And she's still talking to me! Girls, don't be so multitasking that you're doing a gazillion things giving him vital information. All right? And especially if he's doing something. I'm telling you, this simple thing that I'm talking to you creates more arguments and more frustrations in marriages, and we're fighting over nothing. Well, you know you're really married to a multitasker when during a moment of intimate passion, she suddenly blurts out, "Oh, by the way, the plumber says the toilets are broken." Focus, woman, focus! But man, she can make love to you and plan next week's dinners and, think about the toilets. Oh, it's all the same to her. I need my tablet back up here. I want to show you something. In no other area, men's brains and women's brains, do men and women think more differently than in this area of sex. And we'll get into it in a lot more detail tomorrow. But I want to show you something here that I think will be of great interest to you. Give my lovely assistant a hand. Now, sex is a pretty big issue, particularly for men. For us, our sexual interest peaks at about age 18. And then goes down from there. So if you were to chart it out, it would look like something like this. It peaks at about age 18 and then goes down. And then you're dead. Now, something's important for women to understand. When it comes to this area, we're no longer driven so much by our brains or by our hearts, but it's by a chemical. It's called testosterone. And it runs through our blood. It runs through our blood, and it drives us crazy. You just... If you girls knew how much this drove us crazy, you'd be more disgusted with us than you are right now. We downplay it, man. And this, I'm telling you, and as funny as this little chart is, and as true as it is for so many men, if for some reason as a man ages, his testosterone levels begin to decline, his interest in sex will start to decline. And if his testosterone level drops dramatically, his interest will go way down. Same head, same heart, same guy, and now he's not interested in sex. You treat that man, and it's very easy to do, with testosterone supplements, and boom, he's the same wild man you married. Same head, same heart, same guy. Now he's, come here, baby. All right? So this is not because we're sickos. It's not because we're perverts. It's not because we're broken. God wired us this way, and he did it on purpose. Well, what was that purpose? I'm going to show you in a minute, but you just need to really understand this. And the truth is, when we get this rush of testosterone, it just messes with us. Now, for the love of God, don't raise your hands. But most men will admit that we usually receive a testosterone rush, usually very early in the morning, and for no reason at all. Dun 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 dun. 10 hot. And it just wakes us up. Just we're not thinking about anything. All right? And that's usually when a man reaches over and whispers those 3 words every woman loves to hear. Hey, you wait. We'll be talking more about that tomorrow, okay? All right, so why does God wire men this way? Okay, now to explain this, I need to do an anatomy lesson. Okay, y'all okay? Hang on, Margaret, he's gonna draw pictures. It'll be okay. We'll keep it clean. Okay. Now we'll call this the girl's heart. And in the interest of keeping everything at least PG-13, we will refer to this as the place of happiness. I had a lady come up to me recently and she goes, "Man, I can't even go to Walmart anymore. Smiley faces all over the place." She's like, Now, at some fundamental level, this is every man's basic interest in a woman. It's true. It's true. Now, women say, "Well, that's terrible. There shouldn't be about that. It should be about companionship and fellowship and sharing." Girls, if your husband was interested in companionship, fellowship, and sharing, he'd have gotten a golden retriever. He's interested in this, and he's supposed to be. That's the way God wired men. But what men fail to understand is the key to this is this. And if a man successfully touches this, she gives him the green light, and now he can touch this. So this sex drive, guys, is God's way of constantly reminding a man, and it keeps coming back. It like never stops, just on average, a man will feel the need for sexual release on about every 72 hours. That's every 3 days. Some more, some less. My husband's every 72 minutes. But that's your problem. But anyway, but seriously, the reason that keeps coming back is to motivate the man. Be nice to the girl. It's not so you can just go, hey, you awake? Are you hearing me? A lot of guys do that. As soon as they feel the buzz, they're just reaching for the girl. Come here, baby. Come here. Come here. Don't be a moron. She won't want to come here. The reason that buzz hits you again, remember, be nice to the girl. 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 I got to be nice to the girl. And this is what motivates me. I try to be nice to my wife. And I spend time with her, and I take her to lunch every day, and I'll take her shopping. And, well, Pastor Mark, do you like going shopping? No, I hate it. She drops me off at the bench with all the old guys, and I sleep with them. And she comes, picks me up, drops me off at another bench. You say, well, if you don't like it, then why do you do it? I'll tell you why, because I want some of this. I'm no idiot. You got to be nice to the girl. You got to pay attention to the girl. And really, single women, I don't know, how many single women are watching this, but inevitably there's single women here, and that's great, and a lot will be watching this. But, when a woman gives a man this before marriage, she is a nitwit of astronomical proportions. You would never build a house and pay the contractor in advance. Are you hearing me? If you're going to build a $250,000 house, and which here in Phoenix will get you a one bedroom with nothing. Man, I got a huge condo on a lake in Wisconsin for $250,000, man. I'm telling you, here you got nothing. But anyway, you wouldn't pay the guy in advance and give him, here's the $250,000. Do you know why? The house will never get done on time. He'll never do what he's promised to do. Why? Because it's just the nature of human beings. You pay them as they hit certain marks, certain things they accomplish, you finish it, you give them some more, and then you wait till everything's right, and then you close. Why? Because that's the way people are wired. If you were just to give it to them, you would be a nitwit, a moron. That's what women are doing today. They're coughing this up front, which is every man's basic fundamental interest in a woman. You've already given him everything he wants. And then he sit around saying, well, aren't you going to marry me? Aren't you going to spend more time with me? Aren't you going to... No, he's not. Why won't? Because you're an idiot. That's why. Don't do that. Give him that thing. You make that bar earn it. If there ain't no ring, you ain't getting the thing, is what you need to tell him. No, seriously, girl, I don't know what. There's something that really happened in the female culture. I think it's because of the women's lib thing, and they think, well, now we can go out and we can be as sexual as men and stuff like that. But they are fighting against their own interests. There are millions of women in America today that are so frustrated they can never get this. They can never get this. You know why? Because they're dumb. I'm serious. I don't mean it in a mean way, but they're doing a dumb thing, like just coughing this up to every guy that comes along, thinking this. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Now, every woman's basic interest in a man is this. What a lot of women fail to recognize is the key to this is this. And if you touch that, he gives you the green light and you can touch this. So, but I thought you said women weren't supposed to do that. Outside of marriage, inside of marriage, you got to work it this way. Outside of marriage, you defeat yourself. But inside of marriage, you have to realize this is a very important deal. It is. It's huge. A lot of women treat this like it shouldn't, like a side issue. It is not a side issue in marriage. It is the central issue. It truly is. And I'm going to really explain this in greater detail tomorrow. You get this right, things will flow a lot better in your life. You try and discard this, oh, it shouldn't be about that. He shouldn't be interested in sex. He's just a pig. You are fighting now against your own interest doing it that way. You've got to be smart about this, girls. The key to this boy's heart, you know, they used to say when I was growing up that the key to a man's heart was his stomach, but they were about 6 inches too high. And this is important. I got to tell you, girls, if it weren't for this, we probably really wouldn't deal with y'all. But I'm just telling you like it is. You know, you take that out of man, I don't think we'd go through the trouble, honestly. This is a game you got to let him know he can win with you. And we'll talk more about this in detail tomorrow. But the crazy thing about it, see, is the key to what you want, here's the door. And for the guys, for what you want, here's the door. And it is the perfect standoff. It is the ultimate standoff. People say, what was God thinking? People say it to me all the time. What was God? This is exactly what God was thinking. The key to you getting what you want is to give your spouse what they want. Now, it's not easy. And sometimes you'll mess up, but you got to constantly work for this. You can't all of a sudden disregard this. Some guys, they never pay attention to the girl. They're never nice to the girl. And wonder how come they never get any sex. Oh, I never get any sex. How come? Because you're an idiot. I mean, for crying out loud, be nice to the girl. You've got to touch her heart. That's your key. But a lot of guys say, well, I told you I loved you once. If anything changes, I'll let you know. I wonder how come I'm not getting any sex. Because you're just blowing it. You're blowing it. And girls, same thing with you. The key to this is this area here. Don't dismiss this. If you guys will flow in this thing, it works and it's great and it's extremely powerful. It is the most powerful thing God ever designed to connect two people. And we'll get into it in a lot more detail tomorrow. All right? Cool.
All right, so session 2 complete. What are your first initial thoughts, comments, questions, feedback that you may have for us? Anyone? Yeah, it's kind of an awkward topic.
This is Nana. I can go first. I love the heart and the key to happiness. The smiley face and the heart. It's so funny because we're women and we're so complicated, but men are so straight to the point. It's like whatever I need to do to get you happy or to get myself happy, like whatever. You want to go shopping? Fine. I'll sit down. I don't want to do it. Fine. And we make things so much more complicated. And the way that this pastor breaks things down is beautiful because it really is black and white. Like I have colors in between. My husband is black and white. That's it. So thank you for sharing this. This is really awesome.
Thank you for the feedback. I'm glad it's making a difference. And I I know you said your husband is working, and this will be recorded, so we can also provide that for those spouses who and significant others who couldn't be there with you all. We have that available as well. So when we think about the single and multitasking roles, is that pretty self-evident in your relationships? Is it maybe opposite, or do you see a little bit of both? What are your thoughts on the single and multitasking roles in our relationships? I like to say that I'm a multitasker, and my wife will say I'm not. For example, if I'm writing a paper for school or reading something, I will like to put the ball game on mute so I can see the score and kind of keep up with the action. But I'm working, and my wife will remind me that I'm probably spending more time with my eyes on the TV than I actually am on my computer. So I get the single tasking and multitasking. I think that can definitely be very true in our relationships. No other thoughts on that. Let me move on to another question. The key to intimacy. For husbands, the physical intimacy is the key to emotional intimacy, and of course, vice versa for the wives or spouses. What are your thoughts on that? What are your experiences, or anything you'd like to share on the whole key about connecting and the physical intimacy and the emotional intimacy?
I won't go into the specifics, but I will agree with the last person who spoke that the way that he broke it down into simplistic terms was very helpful. I do think that it can certainly be more complicated than that, but I appreciated the simplicity that he used to explain it, and will definitely pay more attention when I head to Walmart later on. So it was pretty good. It was a great session.
Thank you. Anyone else? I know it's one of those, very interesting topics, and may not bring a lot of conversation, but the important thing is just the awareness for everyone involved on what is the key to the woman's heart. What is the key to the man's heart? How do we have that connection with the physical intimacy, who's more for the man, and the emotional intimacy, who's more for the woman? How do we help connect that? And he made a great point about give each other what they need, and that's the key. And I think he also brought up the importance of not letting it be a standoff, but have those connections and just build that strength in your relationship of, okay, I understand where they're coming from and how can I help them in strengthening their relationship. Any other thoughts? One more thing I want to mention that I took note through the video is the importance for the guy, and I'll bring this out since I'm a guy as well. There's 3 steps that he really reinforced, and it was for the guys to stop, to turn, and to listen. And so hopefully that will help in our relationships as well with our significant others. Is when they're talking to us, mute the TV or turn the TV off or stop what we're doing because of that multitasking versus single tasking mindset. So, it's a 3-step process really for guys. And I think it can go both people in a relationship, that when you're having an important conversation, and because communication is so vital in relationships, to stop, to turn, and to listen. Any thoughts on that, or anything else in this second session before we take a break?
Yes, we wanted to talk about the multitasking. For myself, I think I need to be more aware of, like you said, stop and listen. Being a mom of 2, it's the kids want something, so I'm trying to do something for them. Brent sometimes is talking to me about something else, and then I have background noise. So I think it's that brought that to my awareness of stop and stop what I'm doing, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is. They can wait. We can all wait and pay attention to what he's saying. And then we had a funny story when we were listening to that, is the whole talking, how, yes, I'll talk. Didn't realize it until we brought it up. I'll be talking, and sometimes he's taking a shower, and I'll go in the bathroom and I'll start talking to him, and he's probably hearing the water and not listening to me, and I'm just yapping away. What do you think, babe? Hold on. But what do you really? The thing that so we keep the conversation, and it just it wasn't obvious to me that the showers, the water's going, and I'm still talking, and my perspective was, well, I got you in the shower of you listening to me. You're not escaping from the conversation, kind of thing. So that was funny to have an example and realize that, well, maybe that wasn't the best way to talk to him at that time. And then aware for me that I needed him to be at one place listening to me. So share that with him, communicate that maybe I need him to stop when I'm talking, and obviously not in the shower, but stop for him to have that time for us to just connect and look at each other and have that conversation that we needed to have, or whatever discussion it is. But thank you. So far it's funny, and I'm liking the comedy into it, so it brings it a little more relaxed kind of way to talk about issues that we don't get to talk about, I guess. But so thank you.
Definitely great. Thank you for the story, and those life experiences really make a difference. So nothing else, we'll go ahead and take a break, but also as well, be thinking about one practical way this week you can implement something that you learned in this second session. We will come back together at 11, and we'll have our final session, which is about sex. So see you then. Well, hey, thanks for being with us again. And we have our final session coming up. So this is the key to great sex. So look forward to watching this, and then we'll have some great discussion afterwards.
But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm really talking about is the difference between single tasking Alrighty, here we go. The number one key to incredible sex. Exclusivity. I can't spell. Exclusivity. When one man focuses just on one woman. Looking at the Song of Solomon. Now she writes and says, I belong to my lover, and his desire is for me. Something incredible happens when a man focuses on just one woman. Now, this is radical what I'm telling you, because our culture today says the key to great sex is lust. The more you fantasize, the more you check out the hot babes, the more you're looking at pornography on the internet and check, oh, the better your sex life will be. But they are lying to you. Our culture has completely lost its mind in this area. And all the experts talk about, yes, the key to incredible sex is to fantasize and to masturbate. And who is this woman? I can't imagine her having sex. It's just like, Hollywood, the people who can't stay married for more than 3 months at a time, is giving us the perfect scenario for great sex. Lust, fantasy, ooh, 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 ooh. But it is a big, fat, stinking, puking lie. It doesn't work. You say, well, you're just against it because you're a preacher. No. I do not oppose lust on moral grounds. I could preach you to hell and back if you wanted. But I don't have to. It doesn't work. At least if it worked, it would make some degree of sense, but it does not, and no one challenges it today. You ever read that story of the emperor's new clothes? How everybody went around and told the emperor how great he looked, and always just walking around in his underwear, and everybody, oh, you're great. And some little kid finally says, you know, he's naked. I feel like that little kid. All the experts today, they keep repeating the same lie over and over and over and over again, and everyone just, oh yes, the emperor's clothes are magnificent. Oh yes, lust and pornography and masturbation. Oh, this is fantastic sex when you do this. But it doesn't work. And the proof is in the pudding. People say, oh, where's your proof? My proof is you guys who do it. Let me ask you guys who sit around in the dark and check out the hot babes on the internet and sit around and yank on your wanger. Come on, you wanger yankers, you know who I'm talking to. Let me ask you a question. How's that working for you? Huh? You got great sex? You know you don't. In fact, the more you do it, the more you indulge in it, the worse your sex life becomes. And the prescription the world gives us is, oh yeah, you just need more porn, you need more porn. But it doesn't help. It keeps making it worse. It is destroying people's lives. In Hollywood, they just don't get it. All these experts. I was watching this one show, you've seen the show Family Feud? This one week they had soap opera stars on. And I'll hand it to these people. They look great, but they were as dumb as a box of rocks. And they asked them this one question. It said, 100 people surveyed, what can you do to improve your romantic life? And they come up to the first team and say, okay, I need an answer. And they're, oh, yeah, okay. And they come to the first person, and he says, what's your answer? What can you do to improve your romantic life? He goes, have an affair. And all the other rocks in the box go, good answer, good answer, good answer. Have an affair. How can you be so stupid and still breathe? The way to improve your sex life is to have an affair with somebody else. But that's the culture they live in. The more lust, the more naughty, somehow it improves. It does not improve, it destroys. I know psychiatrists and psychologists who have prescribed to couples in an effort to improve their relationship, have an affair. So ignorant are they that the emperor is walking around naked. Went over to the next, he said, have an affair. The guy looked at him like he was nuts. Okay, have an affair. Went to the next rock. What can you do to improve your romantic life? View pornography together. Good answer, good answer, good answer. View porno. Every answer they came up with was lust-based. 3 strikes. They couldn't get it. Went over to the other box of rocks. Same thing. I'd never seen it before. Neither side could get one answer. Because when they got done, he said, well, let's take a look. And it was like, spend time with each other, have a romantic dinner, take a long walk, bring her flowers, stuff that any moron knows. But these people don't get it. They don't get it. Oh, yeah, that's great. Look, the world's answer to great sex, their formula is number 1, fantasize. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Ignore the real woman in your life and focus on one who would never give you the time of day. Oh, yeah, let's do that. Let's pretend. Let's live in a fantasy world. We are trading in real women for fantasies. How can we be so stupid? And this is becoming a real problem. And you know who's beginning to notice it? A lot of people way off on the liberal left are starting to notice it. They're starting to write about it. They're starting to realize there is a problem. Men are becoming more and more diminished sexually and are becoming unable to perform because they have so overstimulated themselves with pornography. It is destroying them. I've met women who've told me that their husbands prefer pornography and masturbation to actually making love to them. I had a woman in my office, and she's a 20-something-year-old, good-looking woman, like Hoochie Mama, okay? So, I didn't think pastors notice that sort of thing. Hey, I may be sanctified, but I'm not petrified. All right. A good-looking woman is a good-looking woman. And she tells me sitting there, she says, my husband hasn't touched my vagina in over a year. Not interested. I said, you're kidding me. So what does he want? Well, he just wants me to do these weird things to him. All garbage he's gotten his head through looking at porn. Trading in real women for fantasies. What in the world? So many women I've talked to in the last year who says, my husband admits he would rather masturbate than make love to me. Fantasize and masturbate. Oh, that's their idea of great sex. And what is it with this masturbating thing? And the passion to which these people rise to defend masturbation as some form of great sex. I don't get it. I'd love to know who the first hillbilly was that went, You know, that kind of looks like a vagina. I think she just got that. And this is starting to destroy a lot of men's sex lives. Do not fool yourselves. There is no way in the world you can keep doing that over and over and over again and not retrain your body. Everybody knows this. When it comes to anything physical, athletes know this. They train, they do the same repetitive action over and over again in order to train their bodies so their bodies will respond in a certain way. Athletes do this. Whether it's tennis or football or whatever, they train over and over again so that without thinking about it, their body reacts in a certain way. The military knows that you train young men to react in a certain way. They do the same drills over and over and over and over again. Why? Because you train your body so that without thinking, you act in a certain way. How in the name of God, our culture is teaching our young people from the age of 13 to start masturbating 2, 3, 5, some of them 7 times a day, thinking that it will not retrain them. The truth of the matter is there are a lot of men today who are no longer able to function with a woman. And I hear this all the time in these seminars. Guys who come to me, women who come to me, who tell me their husbands cannot perform. There are a lot of men today who cannot perform with a woman. I had a guy call our office. He says, man, he says, I can have sex with my wife for hours. Nothing ever happens. Incapable of achieving an orgasm. But he can do it by himself. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, let's get all our kids doing that. Let's get them doing that. He went to the doctor to find out what was wrong with him, and he was diagnosed. This is not a joke. Seriously, TMS. The doctor said you have TMS. It's called traumatic masturbatory syndrome. He's actually reconditioned his penis to a certain type of stimulation. It won't respond to a real woman. What are we thinking? And you know what really fries my Puerto Rican pancakes? Is when they say, well, this is how you can achieve orgasm. You masturbate until you achieve orgasm. And they tie the words masturbation and orgasm together. They are crazy. You cannot achieve an orgasm through masturbation. You can ejaculate, you can have something physically happen to you, but it is not an orgasm. An orgasm is when you're making love to a woman and you reach your peak and endorphins are released into your bloodstream and every cell in your body stands up and grabs the hand of the cell next to it and goes, hallelujah! That is an orgasm. Almost universally, people report that when they masturbate, they immediately feel the opposite. Icky, dirty, or guilty. And psychologists have been telling us for decades now, oh, you don't have to feel guilty about masturbating. It's fine. I know Christian pastors who tell their young people, you don't have to feel guilty about masturbating. It's fine. I know psychologists, you don't have to feel guilty. It's fine. I'll tell you what, you can fool your mind, but you will never, ever, ever fool your body. Amen. And there are a lot of men today, I believe, who have never achieved an orgasm. They ejaculate. That's all they do. They've so trained their... You cannot get your body doing this over and over and over again and think you can function normally. All they've trained their bodies to ejaculate, they never really achieve an orgasm. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, let's get all our kids doing that. The misinformation our kids are getting today, a lot of you have gotten it, but dear God, our kids are getting it in spades. The misinformation is going to wreck their sex lives, has the potential to wreck their sex lives for the rest of their lives. And nobody is telling you what I'm telling you right now. Most preachers don't like talking about this stuff. It freaks them out. As you can tell, I have no such problem. And I understand that, but we have got to start talking about this stuff. In the church, we're trying to win an argument where we only let the other side talk. We're trying to win a war where we only let the other side have bullets. Now we wonder why 50% of the men in our congregations have sexual addictions. That's the number, 50%. In our congregations, church-going men, sexual addictions. You have to understand something. Pornography will rob you of great sex. See, every man, the reason why it's such a temptation is because we think it's great sex. Oh, we want to check out that baby. Oh, if we get on the line, I'll have greater sex, I'll have greater sex. That's what sucks us in, with the promise of great sex. But it is a lie. I promise you. The more you do it, and you know the ones of you who do it, the more you do it, the opposite happens. They are lying to you. I'm telling you, the lies that this generation has faced and is continuing to face along sexual information, there are so many blatant lies along this line. We have lost our minds in this country. It is destroying people's lives. You know one of the biggest problems we're having today in America? Sexless marriages. Sexless people don't want to have sex. Don't have to have sex. Have sex with themselves. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Let's trade in a real woman for a fantasy one. Remember that little diagram I gave you last night? Got the heart and the smiley face. And that motivates that. When you masturbate, that breaks the system. That'd be nice to her. I'd pay attention to her. So self-centered men, lazy, and for a quick release, become lovers to themselves instead of lovers of women. This is sad stuff. Well, what do you tell our teenagers? Tell them to wait, they won't die. No one has ever died from lack of ejaculation. And there's a lot of misinformation about that. People talk about this condition called blue ball. And not to try to gross you out, but that's, well, I have women, well, what about my son? Won't they get blue ball if they don't mess? No, they won't. That's one of the biggest urban myths that there are. It's the most ridiculous bunch of nonsense. There is a condition like that, but it has nothing to do with ejaculation. Nothing. It has to do with being overstimulated for a long period of time. And the answer is just quit being so stimulated and go back to normal. It is not a chronic condition you're going to walk around tortured for the rest of your life if you don't masturbate. There's never been a morgue anywhere in the world where on the toad said, cause of death, failure to ejaculate. Biggest bunch of lies. We're not animals. Your kids are not animals. You know what the difference between an animal and a human being is? We can say no. We have control over ourselves. We live in a culture where the idea of having control over yourself is ludicrous. It's absurd. There's people who will hear this video who will go, oh, I can't believe he's saying that. What false information? What false information? I speak at these things all around the country. You know, every once in a while I get into one of these scenarios where these experts are there. And I tell them just what I think, and it just freaks the willies out of them. And they get, what? Where's your proof? You gotta have proof. Where's your proof? I'll give you my proof. You know, and it's so ignorant. Like, we need to prove this? We need to prove this? Some things are so obvious. It's like trying to prove, well, where's your proof that oxygen is good for your lungs? So I attempt to prove it to them. Let's start with our scientific explanation, shall we? Let's assume that A turned on woman plus B, a turned on man, equals the best possible sex. Okay? Are you okay with it? You follow? Does that seem logical? For some reason, this is like, whoa! Oh, I've never heard such a thing to these experts. I mean, come on. If you don't have a turned-on man, kind of hard to have really great sex. If you don't have a turned-on woman, kind of hard to have really great sex. So we can at least agree you need a turned-on woman and a turned-on man to have great sex. Yes, we're there, okay? All right, now let me take a little survey here. About pornography. Ladies, if you, and you have to remember, these experts, these therapists, these nitwits I call, actually use this stuff in therapeutic ways. It's prescriptive. Pornography is prescriptive. This will improve your sex lives. So let me ask you, ladies, if you knew your husband had just been watching pornography and wanted to use you to satisfy himself while thinking about that other woman, how many of you that would make you feel very sexual and turned on? Let me see your hands. Okay? We'll call that 0. I presented this to some people. Say, "Well, you can't do that. You're not going to ask women if they're turned on. They'll never raise their hand. That will never work. This is improper." Okay. Let me change the question. If you knew your husband only thought about you and treated you like the only woman in the world without thinking about any other women, how many that would make you feel sexual or turned on? Let me see your hand. Oh, so women will raise their hands. All right, come on. All right, let's see your hands again. I got to get a count. Hands. Okay, we'll call that lots. Now for our formula, for these experts who need, all right, I have checked with some of the greatest mathematical minds in the country, some graduates of MIT, and have determined, after repeated and at length discussions, that lots is greater than 0. It's brilliant, truly brilliant. So we know now that porn results in a turned off woman. Well, right there, you got yourself a problem. If women are turned off by this idea of her husband fantasizing, then their prescription for porn to improve their sex lives is pure, unadulterated baloney. Because as soon as you remove, you can't get to the best possible sex. Right? And I do this for thousands of people. I have yet to have a solitary woman go, "Oh yeah, that'd be great." And I'm sure there must be one or two out there. But this is so lopsided, it blows one's mind. So blind are these people that the emperor's walking around naked. "Oh, well, yeah, but we've learned it." And all the experts say, well, we know that repeat porn exposure results in a diminished male. And I'm telling you, these people are starting to notice this. We're getting writings of people in secular magazines, liberal magazines, who are complaining, hey, men are not able to perform. This is impacting men physically. They're not able to perform as a result of this stuff. I know of men, I know of ministers who, while they're making love to their wives, insist on having a dirty magazine open next to them so they can stay stimulated while making love to their wives. You can imagine how wonderful that makes her feel. Why do they have to do that? Because they cannot maintain an erection if they don't see that. That is the addictive power of this thing. And these people think this is good sex? This is great sex? So we know that repeat porn exposure results in a diminished male. Well, what's the scientific sign for a diminished male? If this is a scientific sign for a normal male, this would be the scientific sign for a diminished male. All right, you're all tracking with me here? All right, so this finally leads us to our scientific formula for the best possible sex. If A, a turned-on woman, plus B, a turned-on man, equals the best possible sex, and we know that porn results in a unturned-on woman, with repeated porn exposure resulting in a diminished man, then A plus B minus porn logically results in the best possible sex. Which means that these experts' information has to be based on broken science. You can imagine these people get really mad at me. And I don't care. I love it. I love it. These people look at me like I just dropped in from Mars. This one lady who writes for, a bunch of major women magazines in the country and Newsweek magazine and stuff like that was interviewing me. And she says, well, I've never heard of such a thing. Is it masturbation normal? After all, children masturbate. So what? Children don't masturbate. She says, well, they touch themselves. So, well, I touch myself. and besides, is this our standard, children? I said, my grandkids will eat their own poop if I let them. Does that mean we should all eat poop? These people do not think, I'm telling you, they're the most intellectually dishonest people in the world when it comes to this issue. You know why? Because they're all addicted to this nonsense. And I need more porn, I need more porn, I need more fantasies. And because of this imprinting that I talked about you at the beginning, these men have so imprinted, they've got to constantly react and relive pornographic or naughty scenarios in their minds so they can enjoy sex. And if you've been there, I'm telling you, you need to break yourself of that. You need to refocus. You need to take out the camera and start taking some new pictures. You make love to that girl. Forget about that other stuff. Quit trying to relive garbage in your head. It won't give you great sex. It will rob you. I promise you, the key to great sex is focusing on just one woman. You see, lust is like eating snack food all day long. It'll ruin your appetite for the real thing. Your mama was right. Snacking will ruin your appetite. You out there checking out that babe, checking out that babe, checking out the magazine, checking out porn. It's going to wreck your appetite for the real thing. You just try it. Try it for 30 days. Anybody can do anything for 30 days. For 30 days, do not look at another woman. Don't fantasize about another woman. Don't look at some stupid magazine or pornography. You just focus on that girl and see what happens to you. She will just come alive to you. And you to her, she can sense when she's the only girl in the world to you. It will rock. You'll have the best sex of your life, I promise you, or your money back. Let's get this right. I'm telling you, this will change your world. It'll change your world. We've got to start giving good information. Your kids need to hear about this. They've been lied. You know, when I do this for teenagers and for like young adults or college kids, they sit there stunned. You know what they say to me afterwards? How come no one ever told us this? Because all they've heard is the other nonsense. I know Christian ministers who encourage their kids to masturbate. I know a leader of one of the largest family organizations in America. I won't mention his name out of respect. Encourages. He's against pornography, but he thinks it's okay to masturbate. I don't know what in the world he thinks they're masturbating to. The book of Ezekiel? What's the deal? You mean I can never touch it? I didn't say you couldn't touch it. I got no problem with couples touching each other. And people say, well, what if we're gone for long periods of time? Okay, fine. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you living in a house with a real woman and you ignore that woman and make love to yourself. This is insane. It is not great sex. It is terrible sex. These guys out there talking about, they act like they really know great sex. Ha ha ha. Bunch of nitwits. They're number one, fantasize, masturbate, and then the number three, they coup d'etat. Wear a condom. Wear a condom. That's our secular world's idea of great sex. Man, to me, wearing a condom is like trying to eat an ice cream cone with a sock on your tongue. Man, if you want to practice birth control, use something else than a condom, man, don't you? If you can't tell the difference between real sex and a condom, we need to have a telethon for you, man. Raise money for our cure. That's it. And boy, that gets these experts really angry. When I say that, they get so angry. Oh, you're giving dangerous information. You're getting dangerous information. And no. For the record, camera one, for the record, let me state, if you're going to have sex outside of marriage, by all means, wear a condom. If I were you, I'd wear 2 or 3. Kind of like double bagging at the grocery store. But do not delude yourself. Do not fool yourself. That is not great sex. You want great sex? Get married. The beautiful thing about being married is I don't have to wear a stupid condom. I know I'm freaking some of you out, but I don't care. I'm on a mission, man. Let's get this stuff right. Let's get this stuff right, man. God knew what he was talking about when he talked about one man focusing on just one woman. That is great sex. That is incredible sex. That'll blow your mind, knock your socks off sex. This fantasy nonsense and all this other stuff is destructive. It is poisonous. It is not great sex. It robs these people of great sex, and they're constantly looking for better sex, trying to get satisfied somehow, trying to up the level somehow. It's like a heroin addict. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And if there's any group in the world who should have this together, it ought to be Christian people, in my opinion. Christians ought to be known for great sex. We should. People ought to be saying, man, stupid Christians, I hate them. Yeah, a bunch of self-righteous hypocrites, yeah. Here they got great sex lives, though. Really? What time do you suppose their services are? And we need to get this right. I know it's hard. This whole sexual thing can be a real struggle between men and women, that perfect standoff that we talked about. But don't neglect this area. Pay attention to this area. The church is getting sucked in just like the rest of the world, and it's sad. Christian Partnership Marriage Magazine, whatever it's called, did a survey a year or two ago. They asked this question: how many times did you make love in the last week? You know what the number one answer was among people of faith? 0. 0. And we wonder why we're having the problems that we're having. You know, men struggle with sexual temptation like you have no idea. And men cry out, God, what's your answer for my sex drive? What's your answer for, you know what God's answer for your sex drive is? Have sex. I like this answer. Girls, you need to be there for him. You have no idea how much men struggle with this. You need to be there for him. Do not neglect your husband's sexual needs. I know it's okay to put the conditions, all that kind of stuff, everything I talked about, but bottom line, fundamentally, you cannot ignore this area. I hear women complain bitterly. Oh, I wish the men in our church were more involved. I wish the men in our church would get more excited and they just praise the Lord more. I got bad news for you girls. It's really hard for a sexually frustrated man to praise the Lord. You want your husband praising the Lord tomorrow morning? You put a smile on that boy's face tonight. What I'm talking about. He'll walk into this place going, hallelujah, somebody sing a song, let's get going. Ha ha, bingo. All right, y'all still love me? All right.
All right, welcome back. So that's a very, very sensitive topic. So just want to see if we have any other final thoughts or questions, comments. We are, if you have concerns or some questions, what we just talked about, we're going to put a slide up to help show contact information and how to reach out to us about that. About the last topic on sex or about anything else. If you need anything, we're here. This is the listing of the chapel contact information at JBAB, at JBA, and for the DoD employee assistance as well. So.
Hey, this is Duran. It seemed like he was just focused on the men, not as the women as much. So I thought it was interesting, but I thought, I guess everything lies with the man. The man is always the one that's, I'll say the aggressor, or the person who is always wanting it versus the woman always wanting it. So I thought that was, I thought it should have been more about the woman as well.
That's because we're multitasking so much. We're tired at the end of the day. No, that's just my joke for part of it.
That's a good point. And yes, thank you for the feedback. Yeah, I think and she even mentioned about the multitasking. It's like the point he's trying to make, and that's great. He does focus a lot on the men in this section because of the whole makeup and the DNA. With men wanting it usually more than women. So yes, and for the women, the key to great sex is that the emotional connection. And men, it's that physical connection. So I think he focuses a lot on that physical connection that men need. But as he showed in the other clip as well, the session 2, about that men have to reach the emotional connection with the woman first, before the physical connection can truly happen. And so, great point. Yes. Anyone else have any comments?
Hi.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Come.
Hi, this is Rita Ziga here. I have to say I have learned so much from this retreat, because for me, the nothing box for men, whenever my husband goes in there, I'm like, I don't get it. You have to be talking to the kids. You have to be talking to us. Why are you quiet? And I'm like, I stress myself whenever he goes in there. But from now, I think I will know how to handle him when he goes into his nothing box. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for the feedback. Go ahead. Anyone else? Any final comments or thoughts?
Yes, this is Nana. You said that the video will be available. Are you going to send it through Eventbrite so that I can pass this information along? Because I agree, it was some really good points made that I want to make sure that I share with my husband. It'd probably be easier for me to just say, watch this, as opposed to me talking about it and then him zoning out or just being in a nothing box. So thank you.
Hey, thank you. Yes, definitely we'll be sending that out through email to you all. And one of the things we've discussed as well is it would be great to watch this together, just to have those ongoing conversations, and you can hit the pause button and stop and have your own times of conversation. So yes, we'll definitely email that out, but would encourage you, if at all possible, definitely watch together. Okay, so once again, thank you all for your conversation. Thank you for some great feedback. We're going to put in a link for a survey, and in the chat box has a survey. So we really would appreciate you take that 3 to 5 minutes and fill that out for us. We're going to be here still in standby. If you have conversations, you can direct message us. You can pop up on camera and talk, but we'll be around for a few minutes. Once again, thank you all for joining us for this. Chaplain Skelton's, he's off screen right now, but he had a huge part in making this happen. And so we just thank our whole team that's here today, Chaplain Rain as well. And thank you all, because it doesn't happen without your participation and your involvement. And but please give us honest, transparent feedback so we can help continue to improve and to offer these for more and as well. So thank you all.